A return to Tory sleaze. Labour's take on the lobbying scandal that's threatening to engulf the government. Join me for those stories and more at 6:30. The return of Tory sleaze. Labour's verdict on the lobbying scandal engulfing the government. Well, Boris Johnson insists his investigation will get to the bottom of it, but tonight Parliament opened an inquiry too. Also ahead.
Evening News with Lucrezia Millarini.
Good evening. There were fiery exchanges in the Commons today over the lobbying scandal threatening to engulf Westminster. As more officials were dragged into the controversy, Labour said David Cameron's actions for the now collapsed firm, Greensill Capital, were the tip of the iceberg and signified a return of Tory sleaze. Well, Boris Johnson claimed his party has been tough on lobbying, but admitted the boundaries between government and business may have been misunderstood. Well, the Prime Minister has already ordered an investigation, but tonight a parliamentary committee launched its own inquiry. Here's our political correspondent, Libby Vina. A woman has relieved how she repeatedly was stabbed during the Fishmongers Hall terror attack, telling an inquest she played dead to protect herself. Isabel Robotham said moments earlier she saw Jack Merritt clutching his stomach after being stabbed. He was one of two people killed by Usman Khan in November 2019. With the latest from the inquest, here's Martha Fairley.
This was Jack Merritt, a former Cambridge University undergraduate.
The government has launched a consultation on whether it should be compulsory for care home staff to get vaccinated against COVID-19. Unions have warned it could result in some staff quitting. Well, our UK editor Paul Brandis says. So, Paul, what's the thinking behind this?
Well, look, minimum protection for older residents from COVID-19 things here. The government's announcing this 5-week. Well, the unions say this will simply lead to carers leaving religious or cultural.
Paul, thank you. Now, if you were watching last night, you would have seen our housing report where we met cancer patient Julie Roberts. In recent weeks, widespread sexual abuse at schools has been exposed through testimonies on the website Everyone's Invited. But the problem isn't just confined to schools. Data from the website that has been shared with ITV News reveals that in just 1 week, more than 1,000 university students posted their own experiences of sexual assault and harassment. One victim told us that since being attacked, she's never felt truly safe. Rachel Younger has this special report. The final British troops stationed in Afghanistan are expected to leave the country later this year. That's after the US announced its forces will pull out by September the 11th, 20 years on from the 9/11 attacks. It means troops from other NATO members will likely follow suit. Well, British forces have paid a high price since they were deployed to Afghanistan in 2001. 456 have died fighting in the country, with more than 4,000 physically injured. 7 years ago, the last UK troops serving under the British flag left, with around 750 remaining as part of NATO operations. Now they are set to leave too, as Paul Davis reports. Still to come on the ITV Evening News. But first, ITV News has learned that a court has ordered Uber to reinstate 6 drivers who were dismissed for fraud and pay them damages. A union said the drivers were fired automatically by the company's algorithm without any checks. They took their case to a court in the Netherlands, home to Uber's European headquarters, where Uber claims it didn't even know about the hearing and will contest the outcome. Our business editor Joel Hills has the story. Northern Ireland's First Minister Arlene Foster has told a court that unfounded allegations of an extramarital affair have been very distressing for her and her family. New photos of the Duke of Edinburgh with members of the royal family have been released ahead of his funeral. They include one taken by the Duchess of Cambridge of him and the Queen with 7 of their great-grandchildren at Balmoral. Well, it came as senior royals returned to official duties just days after Prince Philip's death. Well, here's our royal editor, Chris Shipp. Well, there's been a touching reunion at a care home in Mansfield where an elderly couple were able to see each other for the first time in months. And finally, the part-time footballers who are off to the Euros. Short on practice and missing key players, Northern Ireland's women shocked Ukraine last night to qualify for their first ever major tournament. Now it's hoped their underdog story will inspire the next generation, as Sejal Carrier reports. Lots of celebrating and good luck to them. That is all for now. Tom will be here with news at 10, but for me and the rest of the team, have a very good evening. Bye-bye.